Wanted to do a quick video just about something that came out of my therapy session I had today. I wanted to just get it out there a little bit while it's fresh in my head. And that's about why we react in certain ways to people, and just trying to pick apart in ourselves why we have these reactions. Who am I anyway? Why would you be listening to me? My name is Paul. I am, as of this recording, 48 years old in February 2025. And 2021, my life completely changed. My marriage of 17 years fell apart, and that was quickly followed a year later by being made redundant from a job that I was in for over 20 years. So this is just me, my journey of how I've, I suppose, coped and worked my way through the last 3.5 years. So something that came up in therapy today was talking about reactions to people or circumstance and why we react in certain ways. I had a conversation with my oldest a few weeks ago, trying to identify why my son was, I hate using the phrase triggered, but why he was triggered by this other young man. And after talking about it for some time, we got to the nub of the matter that this young man doesn't take feedback, doesn't take on board comments from other members of the group, or indeed teachers, etc. Whereas my son's quite different. He wants to get better. He wants to improve. He wanted the group to become a better group. So he found it really frustrating that this other person wasn't willing to do that. And we had a conversation about it. And it was like, trying to work, saying, look, this other young man, you can't do anything about him. You cannot control his the way he is. All you can do is control your reaction to him, and how it highlighted a strength in my son that he's willing to improve. He's willing to take that feedback. He's willing to, take that on board for the group to help move the group forward. So we got something quite good out of that. It's funny because I'll have these conversations with my son, but then sometimes I won't have them with myself. But yesterday, well, there's a couple of times where I've got somebody who lives in the block where I live, and I have an irrational, I don't like saying hatred, but he drives me mad. Everything about him drives me mad. Through to the way he talks, his tone of voice, even where he parks his car, which, I sort of pride myself of the last sort of couple of years that there's not a lot that gets under my skin, but he does. And when I was talking to my therapist today, we tried to sort of pick it apart a little bit. And she was like, well, what does he represent? And I knew exactly, as soon as she said that, what does he represent? I knew exactly what the answer was. He represents every kid at school who has got all of the gear, all of the trainers, all of the sports equipment, and he's the big I am. Look what I've got. I can do everything. And I remember going back. We talked about when I was at school, and this particular person when I was at school. I used to really enjoy cricket at school, and we didn't have much money when I was a kid, so I had second-hand pads, second-hand bat, that sort of thing. But this other kid, he had everything, and he used to, rub your nose in it. Look what I've got. The new football boots come out. He's got these 80 quid football boots, and he treats them with absolute disdain because it doesn't matter, he's going to get more. And it really sort of hit me like, oh my God, this guy, I'm barreling towards 50 in a couple of years, well, just over a year. And this guy, is having the same effect on me as kids were when I was 14. And I'd never realised that's still in me. That and then we sort of spoke a little bit about why people, I suppose, who have all these things and feel the need to show that they have all these things are probably doing that for their own reasons, that think that they're missing something in their life or whatever. I don't know his details. I'm not going to cast any judgment on it. But normally when people show off or show what they've got, or really want to verbalize how great their life is, that's normally because there's something else missing. And it's the ones that can step back and live that quiet life and that not be showy are the ones that are normally the most fulfilled. And as I was talking about him, I can hear him outside now talking to somebody else about his car. So yeah, it was a really interesting conversation today, and it also spoke to how I am now able to actually identify when I behave in a certain way or I react to sin a certain way and go, oh, hold on, I need to have a think about why am I reacting that way? What button has that pushed, and what bit of work do I need to do to react differently next time, or not let that get under my skin? If you can identify, or if you can notice a time when you are reacting in a certain way that may be a little bit out of norm, to be able to take that breath and say, well, hang on a minute, there's something going on here. Maybe I need to have a think about why I reacted that way. I think that's an extremely powerful thing to be able to do. It's not something that we can all do, and certainly in the heat of the moment, sometimes it's very difficult to do. If you can do that yourself, amazing. If you have a therapist or you have somebody you talk to regularly, maybe it's something that you need to sort of jot down and have a conversation about next time you go. I think that's a really powerful thing, and it can really give you a real sense of self-control, which I think we're lacking a lot in this world at the moment. Anyway, just a thought. There'll be a link somewhere, I'm not really sure, to another video. Feel free to have a look at that. But thank you for spending a little bit of time with me. Cheers. See you soon.